Welcome to the Max Bet Podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything gaming. I'm Landon Jones, here with Mike McKiskey. Let's get started.
What's going on, brother? How are you?
What's happening, man? Doing well. It's Friday. Beautiful day.
How?
I don't know why I always tell you what day it is. Like nobody
It's like,
cares.
I
By the
forgot.
time someone listens, it's
Yeah,
Monday.
it's Monday, yeah.
It never makes sense. But
Like, in case you didn't know.
doing well.
Yeah.
We are getting ready to have a boys' night out. We're going to we're gonna go to Viejas and see if we get a little filming done, play some slot machines, hang out with the boys. So
Gonna throw the camera on you playing slots, huh? Get a little content
in a casino. So we're not gonna do
Perfect.
it online this time. We're actually gonna go play at a brick and mortar property and see what we can make happen. So pumped.
That's awesome.
Pumped.
Yeah, it's funny you say boys night out. So you know Adam Whitehurst, friend of the show. He introduced me to a phrase I never heard before, but I love it. So when he gets together with the boys, he calls it a bro down. So I don't know. I'm assuming it's something like the brothers are throwing down or however they came up with that. But I was like, that is such a great.
So two takeaways from that. One, anytime you think about like drinking tea or how you're going to make yourself better, he calls that bro science.
Yeah, exactly.
But funny story about Adam is he called me the other day and I'm like, what are you doing, man? He's like, something you don't know about me is I'm a master baker.
Oh yeah. He is.
So we talk about bro science and bro down, and here Adam is cooking. I forget, he made like some cake, sent me pictures of it.
But
So-
it's not, I've never eaten it, right? Like we live on opposite sides of the country, but the pictures you get, you're like,
Yeah.
you could be a pastry chef, right? Like I just assume it also tastes good, but you're like, man, it looks like you could put it in a magazine. So sorry, Adam, we outed you on your Betty Crocker skill set, but
Oh, he's going to hate you for that. I guess I did it
I didn't
too.
bring it up. You
Let's
brought it
see.
up. I just confirmed, but yeah, either way, all good. Hopefully we all still have jobs on Tuesday, but
Well, here we go. So if you're watching the YouTube channel and you're here you go. There's a picture of one of
it's like a tart.
Adam Whitehurst's creation. No, I'll tell you what that is. That is a king cake. So
He's
if
making
you're
stuff I never
interested
even
in
heard of.
learning how to bake, please email Adam Whitehurst at playags.com.
There you go. Baking.
What's
class.
up with you, man? What's happening?
Oh.
What's new? What's cracking?
I'm just looking forward to the weekend, man. It should be fun.
Yeah.
Good run and keeping nice. It actually looks like golf weather outside, so I might try to go hit a few rounds so I can keep up with you because I know we're going to be back on the links here soon, so that should be fun. But need to work out some kinks in my game. Otherwise,
You building any extensions to your house this weekend?
no big projects this weekend. Kind of
Okay.
chill. We got a lot of those done. It's weird. I'm so over the quarantine, man. I feel like I lost a lot of steam on that. Like we were in it first. Every month I had a new major house project, building mantles, putting shiplap up on half the rooms, ripping stuff out, putting it back in. Like now I'm kind of like, I don't want to do that anymore. Let's do recreational stuff. Let's go golf. Let's hang out.
I'm so tired. I went out with my friends last weekend because I already had coronavirus. I don't give a two
you're
shits.
superhuman?
Whether,
Yeah.
Yes, I'm superhuman. So I actually went out and it seems like the city's opening up, but we're at dinner and I felt like I was breaking the law or something. I just didn't
Just sitting
feel
there?
right. I go, I'm not home. Well, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be home right now watching Discovery Channel or reading a book or something. We all know I don't read, but just at home.
Yeah.
Book on tape.
Book on tape, but somebody will read it to you.
I'm pumped for today, man. We have one
Yeah,
of my
same.
close friends, and not colleagues, but I work with him in the industry. But Brian Green, the assistant general manager,
G. Yeah.
great in casino. BG. I'll just continue to call him Brian Green.
Yeah, he's a guy. He's good, man. Smart guy. Knows a lot about the
Yeah.
biz. Been in the biz for a long time. It's funny. He's one of those guys that looks like he probably doesn't have 20 years experience. And you go, okay, 20, huh? That's cool. Like back to everyone gets your age wrong program. Like that's he's another one. I'm like, oh, you've been doing this thing. You're literally OG in this biz, right? And what I love about him, he's a rebel. So UNLV guy. So I'll have
Go
to
Rebs.
give him some love on that. But
Everybody
That's
loves
exciting.
BG. I've never met a person that had something negative to say about that guy. He's just a good, solid dude.
and if we met the person that doesn't like BG, we probably wouldn't like that person. That's my theory.
That's what
smash.
I think.
Hulk smash.
I'm not going to do anything.
Oh,
We both know that.
exactly. Landon's
I'm
coming
like,
for you,
Mike,
bud.
help.
Yeah, Landon's gonna, like the little dog in the cartoon, just gonna come flying after you.
I'm an ox. Remember that.
How could I ever forget? We had a whole thing about it. Yeah, it was good. A lot of people actually commented on that, saying that you could definitely be an ox, and I need to lighten up. So I don't know if you sent your big sister army on me, but they all told me that you could be an oxen. It's all good.
My fan base, my 4 friends, my mom, brother, and sister, all are after you.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, cool, man. So, yeah, rock and roll. What are you thinking?
Oh, well, I'm loving it. So what I'm thinking, so it's funny. We've been talking a lot about the AI program, right? And and just some of the gaming analytics stuff, what they're doing and how it's helping. And people start asking me questions going, well, what's like, give me some more tangible stuff, right? Give me some more. So I asked the team, I said, I don't know. I'm like, I know high level, but they're doing some interesting things. So like we talk about player churn, and last week we said, hey, like it's easier to keep your players than to not, but they actually also have done some analysis on dormant players. So it's like, hey, obviously we know if Landon's about to walk out the door, it's better to stop him, right? That kind of example. But then what they were saying is actually once he's gone, we still can see the data, and they can find out what, like some trends to say, which of these other people should we go after? So they, I guess, did a big analysis with one of their casinos and sent out a list to, former players, sent out some emails based on their play and kind of scaled the different offers, and got a 23% response rate, which again, I'm like, that sounds good. I mean, if you're playing baseball, you're still in the major leagues, but it's pretty good. So they reactivated like 23% of, I think it was like 400 players or whatever that they targeted.
That's huge.
Massive, right? So you figure that you brought back about 100 people, and and a lot of them came back at a higher value than when they left, which was interesting. So, he was trying to talk to me about, I goes, how'd you pick them? Well, it's complicated, right? It's AI, it's smarter than I am. So I thought that was interesting. So like, I mean, just, never cease to amaze me, some of the applications and some of the different things that you can do with powerful, smart computers and the right programming. So, I was just thinking about that, trying to get smarter myself, and figured if anyone else is interested in that or figures they have some dormant players they want to reactivate, check out gaminganalytics.ai and they'll set you up.
I love it. And I'm excited to have him on the podcast to kind of talk more high level about some of these innovations that they've created and some of the partners that they already have. And one of our other partners, EKG, actually, I believe, invested into gaming analytics, or they're helping them kind of, forge the path forward within the brick and mortar space and kind of being a partner with them. So I'm excited to see what those two do together, and rock and roll, man. The future is computers, unfortunately.
Fortunately or unfortunately, right? So hopefully, computers can do all the hard work, and then we can just hang out, talk about it, and reap the benefits. That'll be good, because I don't want to stop, getting together with people. Just sick of being isolated, so it'll be good to keep that rolling.
Well, let's jump into the interview. We got BG waiting on the other line, and hope you guys enjoy your weekend.
So Brian, thanks for joining us, brother. Appreciate you taking the time. Come on and chop it up with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Yeah. But before we jump into any of the gaming stuff, I'm looking in your background there. You got the Rams sign. How are you feeling about the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford program? Are you stoked? Is that like the savior, or what's the latest?
Well, you think about it, when you think about the quarterback, that's just one person, right?
Yeah.
If it really is the line, and they need to protect the quarterback, whether it's Goff, Stafford, or Brady, if they don't have time to work, then they can't get the job done. So.
Well, now you're speaking my language. That's how I look at it. I'm looking at like, hey, if the big boys do their job, we used to say, like, we want to make a hole, like for the running game, we want to make a hole big enough that grandma can run through. Like, it's not on them to get, like, we got to make the space. And
let me just roll this Mack truck through here.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what, at least that's what people are blaming the Chiefs' loss in the Super Bowl on, was no protection for Mahomes and his crew. So
yeah, he was running for his life.
That's it.
So I'm pretty excited to have Brian Green on the MaxBet podcast. It's long overdue.
Yeah.
I've known Brian Green now for probably 8 years.
Yeah.
7, 8 years. And the first time I stared working with Brian Green, he actually kicked me out of his office. So
is there a reason we just keep saying Brian Green? So we should always just say his first and last name? You said his first and last name.
I always call him BG, but yeah. Brian, BG, whatever. Don't ruin my story.
I don't know if there was a joke I needed to be aware of as well.
Well, he always says I kicked him out of the office. I just didn't have a lot of time for him.
Come on, man.
He's retelling the tale of his 400th Bumble date, and you're like, dude, I got a company to run. I can't.
I think this was before Bumble.
Nice. Yeah, back in the day. So what's going on, brother? How's life up in Northern California?
Life is good. A little rainy today, so rain always helps the area.
NorCal. Too bad the rain doesn't come when the big fires come, huh?
Yeah.
That is like the scariest and worst thing living up here. The last 4 or 5 years that these fires have come through.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of craziness. I've been evacuated 3 times. Luckily, I haven't lost my home, but we've had team members. I think the first big fire, 2017, we had 29 team members lose their home.
That's
so it's pretty crazy.
It's not something you think about when you think about natural disasters, right? You think of like hurricanes and tornadoes, or even in Park City, avalanches, but you never think of forest fires being one of the most deadly, most dangerous.
Yeah. Well, I think one of them, it wasn't natural, right? Wasn't it like a baby gender reveal, like exploded or something?
California,
is that one of them? Yeah. Oh, that was Southern Cal. I didn't know.
Yeah, that was
yours
Southern
were natural.
California.
Awesome.
Well, just to jump right into things, I obviously know you, and I don't know that everybody listening knows you as well as we do, but how long have you been in the gaming business, and kind of how did you get started in this industry?
Well, I've been in the business, I would say, for a little over 23 years. I moved to Vegas when I turned 21 to go to UNLV, transferred in, and figured while I was going to UNLV, I needed to work, right? Go Rebels.
That's right.
I started out as a lifeguard at the Excalibur, of all things. So that's kind of funny.
Did you have to dress like a knight, or you got to wear regular lifeguard attire?
No, it was regular lifeguard attire.
I would love to see you in like a full armor.
Yeah. If you think about it, being 21 in Vegas and in pretty good shape, out at the pool is a pretty good job. So,
oh man, yeah,
I loved it. So that was my first job in Vegas. Then I moved over to the Desert Inn, which I worked in a myriad of opportunities. Right. I started out as a lifeguard, went to work in the spa. Became a spa attendant and met a lot of big stars, which was fun. And then,
so name drop somebody. Who was your biggest star that you met in that area?
George Clooney was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Really cool guy. Let me see.
You don't have to try to top Clooney if it's a hard one. That's like you went right to the top of the mountain.
You got Clooney, you got David Schwimmer. There was you name it, they were coming through on a regular basis. You had Tiger Woods come through. Because they would play the tournament right there at the Desert Inn, that beautiful golf course. And so worked there for a while and realized that I was going to school for human resource management at UNLV. And I said, I can't just graduate and think that I'm going to get a job in HR. So transferred over and became an HR rep at the Desert Inn, which was a crazy, awesome experience. I think we had 9 union contracts at that property. So you got to learn a little bit of the labor piece. You got to learn all of the HR stuff. And then after Steve Wynn bought the Desert Inn, I got to actually understand how to do the WARN Act and close a property. And as people were getting picked off, I learned payroll. I learned you name it. So I worked there until the last day that it was opened. And the very next day I started with Station Casinos, and I worked for Station Casinos for over 20 years.
Wow.
Sorry,
go real quick. I know this isn't about me, but we have a connection here because I started as in the spa at the Palms, and then I was a cabana host at the Bellagio. So similar paths there, which is pretty funny. I just wanted to make this.
Can you guys both make towel animals? Like when you think about like the spa, can you make elephants and goose or geese out of the towels or no?
I still don't know how to fold towels. Like you should
know how to make a towel animal.
It's always
I'd be willing to learn to go against them on it, and you can bet on it.
Like a towel origami competition that will happen.
There you go.
Perfect. What I was going to ask you is so I understand now that you're in a business, or once you were exposed to it, why HR might be interesting, right? So certainly payroll and how that. But you mentioned you did that in college. Like, what possessed you at like 18 years old to go, HR is my path? It seems like such an unconventional thing to raise your hand for.
That's funny that you asked. I originally was a marine biology major. Got
George Costanza.
A little bit of each, right?
Lifeguard makes sense now.
Yeah. Lifeguard makes sense. Yeah. I actually, one of my buddies was going and learning HR because he was going to go work for his dad's company. And so he's like, you should just go into HR. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And started to go into it and did some of the HR business law classes and really liked that. Thought about being an attorney for a short bit, but then just got into HR and never looked back.
Wow.
So
it's fascinating how much influence people have and they may not even know it, right? Like you're sitting there growing up and your buddy's dad just goes, "Hey, HR, man." And you're like, "Okay, cool." You seem like somebody I could listen to. And now all of a sudden you went from marine biology to HR, which led you, we'll figure out the rest of the gaps, but to be in the AGM, one of the largest casinos in the nation, it's like, man, what if you didn't say that? Like maybe we're not friends. Maybe you're surfing and saving the whales. Who knows? But like, it's wild to see how that's just that one little comment could totally redirect someone's life. So it's wild.
Absolutely.
How'd you make the jump from HR into the casino side, or was there steps in between? Like what was the?
Yeah, there was. So I was a corporate HR manager, an HR director at a property. Then I got an opportunity to help open the Thunder Valley out in Northern California as well. Helped open quite a few properties for stations in the HR world, right? And I was having fun in HR. Sent an email over to Glenn Bayshore, everybody knows as the Brain. One of the smartest people you'll ever meet at station casinos. He's since retired, but a great mentor. And he had an operations manager position. Sent him the email and just said, "Hey, what are you looking for in that?" I actually had someone in my office asking about that job. So I was trying to get someone else a job. And he said, "Send me your resume." And I was like, "Okay." So I sent him my resume. And next thing you know, I am at Red Rock Grand Cafe, sitting with him and our Don Richardson, our VP of Operations Analysis. And they're saying, "Hey, you're going to be the director of Operations Analysis. We're going to bring you over." And I'm like, "Okay." So
you tell the guy that was in your office, "Hey, sorry, bud, they're not hiring," and then you're just gone. You took the role, big hammer.
And not only that, right? They took this manager position that they had and changed it to a director, and just to move me into it. And I was very fortunate to be able to do that. And they saw the value that I brought to the company, obviously beforehand. And I got to learn, operations analysis. You're in the weeds, looking at the numbers, going to P&L reviews, sitting with some of the smartest people you ever meet. Frank, Lorenzo, you're in a review with them and they're looking at financials and they pick up every little thing without even having to really study it. It just knows everywhere to look. So you're just soaking it all in. So then from there, I think Glenn called me in his office like 2 months later. He's like, "Oh, you've been doing this for about a year now. I think you're ready to go out into the field." And we were purchasing Renatas back in the day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that place.
I grew up going there. Yeah.
So he said, "Hey, Brian, I want you to interview for the director of operations spot at Renatas. You probably won't get it. There's a couple other people, but I want you to just, go over there and put your name in the hat." And I was like, "Okay, I trust you." And I go, "By the way, I've only been here 2 months." So it was kind of a funny thing. And so I went, did the interview and walked back through the corporate office and was talking to someone in HR, and the senior vice president of operations comes and walks through and says, "Hey, come see me." And I got pulled back. He's like, "Hey, you start on Monday." So it was like, again, moving so quickly. It was an awesome experience. So that's when that Monday I went out to Barley's, of all places, met with a guy by the name of Jim Ward, who just took me under his wing and said, "Okay, here's what you're going to need to look at. Here's what you need to do." And then the next week we took over Renatas, and I was the only person from stations at that property and had to just jump in and get down in the weeds. We eventually closed the property, bulldozed it, and then built and redid it to the wildfire lanes that's there today. So it was awesome to have that experience to, jump in there, learn from someone like Jim Ward, and then grow. So then from there, director of operations at Wildfire Lanes for a while. They put me over at Wildfire Lanes and Barley's. Eventually promoted to general manager of Wildfire Boulder and Lake Mead Lounge, which I believe is a Wildfire now. Yeah. And then from there to the VP, moving back to the GM of Boulder, or not Boulder, Barley's Wildfire Lanes and the Greens. Did that for a little bit, and then VP of Wildfire Gaming, and eventually assistant general manager over at Texas Station. So
wow,
kind of a fun little
you run the gauntlet
in the company. And then from there, they asked me to go out to Grayton as the director of operations. And they had an AGM here who was pretty awesome. And I got to come out and learn and pick up things and help open this building that I'm in today. Was director of operations for a couple of years. And then they asked me to move up into the assistant general manager's role. And that's where I've been for about 4 or 5 years now.
Awesome.
It's been that long.
Yeah.
It's crazy how fast time goes.
Well, we all forget about 2020. That doesn't exist. Like we were just thinking the other day, we were like, oh, remember at G2E? And then it was like, wait, that convention was in 2019. So it feels like yesterday. It was actually almost 2 years ago, which is wild. Like it just blinked, like it just goes.
Yeah. 2020 was a crazy year. And then once we reopened and kicked into gear, it was just so busy. And you just, it's already over. Yeah. I can't believe we're already at the end of February.
Yeah. And shout out to Grayton Casino for those of you who haven't gone to that property. It's one of my favorite properties in terms of design. When you guys opened that, I don't even know how many years ago it was, but it was probably one of the best looking, most technological properties in the industry. And now you guys have that beautiful hotel, which is unbelievable. So shout out to Grayton. So now you're in the gaming space. You've kind of worked your way through HR, pool boy, restaurant manager, GM. What is your favorite part of the casino business today? Like what part of the business do you enjoy most?
The bread and butter, right? The slots.
Yeah,
slots are mine. I love slots, but even more than slots, I love the team, right? I love the team members that work here. I've got the best team that I've ever worked with in my life around here. And it's just all about, there's different casinos. There's a newer casino now, 2 hours to the east of us with the new Hard Rock up in Sacramento.
Yep.
So that's a newer casino, but I would say that when you look at places where you're going to go, you look at service and the people that work there. I mean, that's what keeps people coming back to Grayton. It's our team here.
So the slots and managing people, because I work with a lot of your team, Brian, and this is a shout out to you. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about you. Everybody respects you, and you do a great job of building.
You're not talking to the right people. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, dig deeper, man. Dig deeper.
Yeah, I got to dig deeper. How do you build your team? I mean, I know that building teams to you is super important. So what do you look at when you're building your team out, especially coming from the HR side?
I really look at personality, right, and ambition, right. You want someone who is. I think there's a book out there. I don't know, Humble, Hungry, and Smart. Right, is the 3 things that people talk about. That couldn't be more true. You want someone who's hungry, wants to grow, who's smart and understands what's around them, but who is also humble and isn't just going to bulldoze their way through people and say it's just because of who I am is what gets me there. So hard work and dedication is also a big thing for me. Is be willing to do the right thing at the right time all the time.
Yeah. I probably haven't hired as many people as you, just given the nature of kind of the businesses, but I feel like those are always things that are hard to source. Like, so you're going, I mean, we all probably listening going, we want humble and hungry and obviously smart, but a lot of time, man, it's hard to figure out, like cut through the filters on the interview stuff. So like, do you have any, I don't know, like BG specific questions you ask to try to get through that? Or how do you start to evaluate that when somebody's coming in going, is this person really humble? Or are they really? Because everyone could show up humble in an interview.
Yeah.
That's not hard.
I think the people go into interviews ready to go with canned questions, right? They're going to ask me these canned questions and I'm going to prepare for it. Yep. I like to get it to where we're just having a conversation and you can get their personality to start coming out. Yep. And start, based on what they're saying. Now you're asking some follow-up questions to kind of drive, because you can read that. Could they do the job on a resume? Yeah, you can read that, right? They've been there, done that. Obviously, they've been fairly successful. Otherwise, you wouldn't be talking.
It wouldn't be in your office. Yeah, you wouldn't be in your office if they didn't have it on paper.
But it's how do they treat others on their way in, right? You think about executives that are going for interviews. How did they treat that person scheduling the transportation, the hotel? Were they respectful? Were they, asking instead of telling? All the little things that really show your true colors at the end of the day.
Wow.
Do you guys do that? Like, it's such an obvious one, but I never really think of it. Because again, I think in my life, the interview processes are different than with what you guys do, especially if you're flying people from different locations. But do you go back and call the car driver, the travel agent, and go, hey, how did they do? What was your impression?
Well, like, I will tell you, we don't go back and call those people, but sure. the travel agent is often my assistant, right?
Oh, got it. Yeah.
And I'll just get, what'd you think? Right. Yeah. Especially they're the first person that they're seeing when they're coming through, they go pick them up and bring them back. Were they quiet? Did they talk to you? Did they ask anything about the building? All of that stuff. And then also the other things that I like to understand is, did you do your homework, right? Do you understand what this business is that you're trying to become part of? Have you looked anybody up in the business? Have you looked at the competition and what you're going to see around them? And depending on what job you're looking for, what part of the competition did you pay attention to?
Wow. These are things that are probably overlooked all the time, but to your point, so important.
Yeah.
Like if someone comes in with just this huge ego and they're treating your assistant like shit, like how do you think they're going to be in that position of power when they have all these people answering them to them? So that's pretty amazing that you guys go that.
Well, and we like to get them with people that they're going to work with, right? And especially as a senior level position, you're gonna meet the people that will be working with you and working for you, and how are they going to grade you? We
just say, hey, like, would you want to go have a beer with this person? And in sales, I don't know if you guys can do it on your side of the fence, but we can do that. We go, hey, let's meet for coffee or a beer. Like maybe you don't have to drink, but like if you're doing something similar, it's like, let's chop it up 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Doesn't have to be all day, but just see. Cause then to your point, like we're not going through the monster.com top 10 interview questions. You're going through, tell me about your family. What do you like to do on the off time? Like, what do you when you're taking the tie off after 12 hours, what does that look like? Whatever. So that's great.
Absolutely. The hardest questions that I've ever gotten asked in an interview is and I like to ask this question, so it's kind of fun sometimes, is they asked me, they said, we're going to go and we're going to talk to people that worked for you, people that worked with you, people you worked for, the person that delivers your pizza, the person up the street, your neighbor, and give me 3 words to describe you. What 3 words are they going to use?
That's your 3 words?
To answer,
what are your 3 words?
What are your 3? Yeah.
It's a hard question. I should have known that you're going to
come on. You teed it up for us. How hard is that going to be?
I would say honest, fun, and generous.
Generous. I agree with those 3 things.
Yeah. I can't call you on the rug on those. That all feels right. I was going to say trusting would be another one. Just if I was spitballing for you, because like you trusted us not to throw that back in your face, but we did it anyway. So
I guess that's not one of ours.
Better. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question that I have for you, Brian, and I don't know how you answer this, but going from like the vice president of gaming operations or the director of slots, what's the biggest challenge, like difference in challenges from being like an AGM? Is it still the similar challenges from putting the right team in place and making sure the revenues are there, but just with more? Or what are some of the biggest differences between those 2
I would say that the biggest challenge going within your own building is to get the buy-in from your peers, right? So you go from being one of the guys to being the guy, right? Or one of the team to being leading of the team. And so that's the hardest part, is to get their buy-in to you being the leader. And working with them. At the end of the day, it is, you're building the team. You're looking at a little bit broader aspects instead of just in slots. You're looking at tables, you're looking at hotel, you're looking at food and beverage. But there's a lot of care that goes into everything that you have to do, and then bringing the team along with you and letting them drive as much as you do.
So they just, have to have trust in their leader, right?
Yeah.
If they trust
you hire great people around you, they're going to make you look good, right? And you at the end of the day, I want to help people grow. And I in my career, I've been able to help people grow into great things. There's people that I've worked with that are GMs all over, HR directors all over. And I'm excited to say, hopefully they took a little piece of me in their journey and helped get to where they're at. And I'm excited to call them friends even to this day.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Not kicking slot vendors out of your office.
Just you, buddy. That wasn't an S on that sentence. That was just landing.
Yeah, I didn't kick Mike out the first time we met.
You thought he was older than me.
That's always what happens. Well, it's harder to kick.
He was a
down.
lot taller. How's that?
A lot more. Yeah, exactly. It's like, geez, this is gonna be hard. We got to get somebody else in here to drag him out. But
yeah, excited. You're a little harder to take.
I think we just started talking about football on UNLV.
It was Rebels. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think we just met for lunch. It was like no,
Yeah,
I didn't even try to go aggressive. I was like, just grab a bite and chop it up, just like normal. And yeah, we spent 45 minutes talking about the Rebels and 15 minutes getting some business done and moved along. Like it was pretty good. So.
And Landon, you won't be disappointed. He left without a contract.
Did day one, yeah. Anyone listening, takes more than one meeting to get deals done. You can't just try to pump and dump, right? You gotta put the work in. So
is that good. The terminology is pump and dump?
I was like, oh my God.
I'm on a different wavelength than you.
Is that, I don't know. I went with it. Maybe I'm wrong. They'll believe me. People will send me messages if they think I'm an idiot. So it's not a problem. I'll just deal with it.
You're gonna get a lot of pump and dump messages.
Yeah, I'll get make a shirt. We should make a shirt. I don't know how to transition out of that, so I'll just ask you.
I got you.
You go ahead.
I think the next important phase is, so you always have to be on top of your game, especially in this industry, which is always revolving, always changing. So many changes coming down the pipe, not just operationally, but looking at like online sports betting and online casino. What are you guys focused on at looking at what's coming over, what's new, what's happening? What are you excited about? What are you guys looking to get into?
I am excited about the opportunity to go cashless, right? We just launched ACS Play on our table games.
Oh, nice.
So we've got it on all our games. That was a fun launch, and we're excited to get that going. But the opportunity to go cashless on the floor and utilize that resort wallet type technology, excited. That's the future to get there. And I think we will have an opportunity to do that here at Grayton. Also, knowing that sports betting and all that is going to eventually find its way to California, is getting ready for that and trying to find the right partner.
Yep.
And utilizing people out there that know the industry, and like I think you guys work with Eilers Kreutzcheck, and getting that information, and that I think it's so valuable to understand what the players are out there and what they're doing,
right?
To better understand where we can go and broaden our business here. So those are the things that I'm truly excited for. And then marker tracks is something that I saw recently that I think is a game changer in the industry.
What is that?
With what's moving forward. It's the opportunity to do credit from your phone. And the traditional credit, you would go to the cage, fill out a credit application, and it can take anywhere from 2 hours to 48 hours to get approved. It's on your phone, it's instant, and then this is something for you, Landon.
It's like a Venmo cash advance.
You can roll it to your credits. From that. So if you think about that, you'll be good. But it's
going to get
cool
that
technology.
Specialized invite.
Yeah, I'm excited for that technology. I thought it was brilliant when I saw it. And I think there's several properties that have now signed for it. I think I just saw Golden Gaming signed with them. I think so. There's some big companies jumping on the bandwagon for this, and with good reason. I think that it's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, no doubt. What I'm hearing you say is a lot of the tech you're excited about, sports betting aside, but like cashless, so it solves for time, right? Like It's like you just eliminate the inefficiencies. You're like, now you don't have to go to the ATM and stand in line or find one, and that's 10 minutes potentially, right? You're right there. Or marker track sounds like speed, and you're in it, right? You solve for that. So
you guys had someone on I forget his name, but Aspartation.
Jonathan Michaels. He's now with Sightline, but yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
I could not believe that was a real term. Yeah.
I think I used the term the other day when I was talking with some people here at Grayton, and they're like, "What?"
Okay, you guys got to get them on the Max Bet show. They would do. Yeah, it's like, come on, Jonathan educated everyone. You just got to listen.
Yeah,
I had to rename that podcast, and what's funny is it got so many more downloads when I renamed it not Aspartation. People are probably like, "What does? I don't want to listen to something about."
Yeah, people are probably like, "Hey, I'm not listening to that because I don't know what the hell that is, but there's ass in it, so we're not doing that." And then I think the other part of it is we were thinking that like maybe the algorithms that run these platforms wouldn't suggest it because it was like a potentially risque title. So we're like, all right, we'll just be normal again.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I think about the industry. I think we're continuing to grow, and get to a better spot, right, with some of that stuff. But time. You think about the money movement that reduces that money movement on the floor, and there's all the little things that come with it. As long as we cover problem gambling and get that checked off to make sure we take care of people. That's huge. And then if all goes well, the IRS changing the taxable to 5,000, that would be huge.
Yeah.
You wonder what that does to like the player's psyche though. And just got a picture sent to us from when we were at Saboba, we're out having fun. We won a jackpot. They brought us this like big fake check that said you've won $8,000 and we're holding it up. They took a photo. It just makes you feel special, right? As a player. And it kind of like adds a little bit of an exciting factor to gambling. But you wonder about that with a printed ticket or even cash when they used to do cash and the coins. Like, will cashless take away from that experience? A ticket that's printed that says $1,200 and you've got this ticket in your hand that feels like cash. I'm just curious what your thoughts are. If I'm playing cashless and it takes that money and puts that value on my card, and then I can take that card and put it on my phone and then put it in my bank. Does that like take away from the experience a little bit? And only time will tell, really. I guess I'm just asking kind of.
Yeah, I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so is you've got the win, you're excited, right? And cashless isn't going to change that.
Yeah.
The cashless is going to keep you in the game, right? And some of the most frustrating things for true gamblers is waiting, right? You hit a jackpot and you're waiting, and maybe all your money's tied up in the machine.
Yeah.
You can't just go to the next machine. You have to get money or do something to get back in the game. So at the end of the day, it keeps people in the game.
It will make it harder for Landon to create TikTok content, because we do have a video of him getting paid out up at Thunder Valley up near you, where they're counting bill. Well, they hand him a stack of 10,000. They go, okay, we're going to count the other one because we had to break it open. And that video has been seen like 62,000 times. I was just checking it. So that'll be harder when it's like, hey, check out my phone. It'll be harder to, I think, figure it out.
What's funny about that video, Mike, is Brian was actually standing right next to me.
Was he the one with his hand out? Everyone kept asking.
That was
like,
Tobin Scott.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Tobin had his hand out.
Yeah.
Where did we get that video from? That was funny.
I've had it.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. It was in my Go collection, my Go Back collection.
It was good. It was good, good filming. So I wouldn't put it past you that you were the cameraman on that one. But
I think Brian actually was, because I was only with Tobin and Brian during that.
There you go.
I think Brian was the cameraman. That's pretty funny.
If he like the comment, it was like, "Who's your friend with the grubby hands?" Just jumping in at the end. So I was like laughing. I'm like, I don't know who that is, but
what it did is it taught me to jump in on it when Tobin and Landon play together. I got to put money in. I need to go in.
Those guys have more jackpots than anybody, which isn't fair, because Tobin's also like the best golfer you've ever met. So it's like, bud, give something to somebody else here, just hogging it all. But no, it's good.
It's too funny.
Oh man. So what are like the big, on the floor, like gaming wise, like what are some of the games you're seeing? Like, is there anything that's just crushing it right now, or is there anything like new that's exciting? And
I'm trying to think, the Aristocrat Mars X cabinet is killing it. Aristocrat continues to put out great content. Excited. We've got it here. It's getting installed. The new Buffalo Chief game. I think that's going to be a winner. Can't wait to get your AGS games on the floor.
Yeah,
with the Star Wall. Finally.
Cameron. Yeah.
So excited about that. I think that's going to be a big win. Some of these newer cabinets that are coming out look pretty cool. I just haven't really got a chance to touch, feel, play them. With G2E and NIGA being postponed or canceled last year, it didn't really lead for it. I can look and see things on the screen, but we just recently grabbed a couple of the new IGT Peak 32 games, the triple 32s, I think is what it's called. And I'm excited about that Treasure Blast game or Treasure game.
I think that's going to be excited about too. So that's two guys that I feel like know what they're talking about that are excited about that one.
Yeah, I went to the showroom and played it last time I was there, and I was like, wow, this game is pretty dang cool, and I think it's going to catch on very well here.
What game is it?
Treasure Blast, and maybe is the name.
I don't know the name of it. I just know it's something treasure themed, because like that's what people remember. Like it's three giant screens and there's treasure.
That's Aristocrat.
That's IGT.
IGT, yeah.
If you can believe it, it's a non-aristocrat good game.
That's funny. Yeah, everybody else is getting in the business, but the thing that I would love to see from the manufacturers is more of the slant top cabinets. Something that they can do that will perform, that doesn't block sight lines, right? And sight lines are a big thing. for me. And when you're walking through a casino, just to have a wall of games but you can't see behind them is kind of frustrating. Kind of blocks signage, of directional signage if you're looking for a restaurant, all that stuff. And it seems like the cabinets just keep getting bigger and bigger, and we're battling to see who can get to the Big Red.
Yeah, and bank them.
Say that
we should bank them.
Blame Big Red for that.
I've seen Big Red banked somewhere. I think it was on the Strip.
It
might have been one of my competitors had 3 of them back to back in a triangle.
Little triangle Big Red. Now we'll do a triangle star wall for you. Just really ramp that up.
I heard Pechanga has that.
Yeah, man, it's the jewel of their new expansion. So what's funny about that? So we just real quick, we were talking about it the other day, talking about how big the games are. And I was remembering I went to South Africa for work with Bally in like 2008. It was right before the World Cup. And there was a casino there, Carnival Casino. They called it the Land of the Giants, and they had jumbos, like so Bally Jumbo, whatever, you name it. Any manufactured a big cabinet, they were banking them. So 6s and 4s, like they treated that area as if it was regular size slot machines, but they're just the massive 8-foot games. And that was really cool to see. I don't think you'll ever see that over here, but over there it was really cool. So
you have seen it over here.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of our competitors had the Land of the Giants.
Yeah. That's amazing.
For
me,
Cash Creek
made me feel good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, so we are getting close to the end. And Brian, you are a listener of the podcast, so you probably know what is coming up. We like to ask all of our participants to share a gambling story. Doesn't have to be a big win, just of time that you went out, had a good time with either friends and or coworkers, and we'll try to protect the innocent here. So a good gambling story.
You're not so innocent because,
I was just going to say, you can skewer Landon and I, but if there's anyone else you want to change the names to protect them, no problem. We're already owning the fact that
my career's already over. So.
Yeah.
I try to think about that question, right? And I think of 2 opportunities. One, I believe Kevin talked about when we were at Hollywood and Seminole Hard Rock, and we hit that 19,000 and change. Because you were hitting the max bet and Kevin's like, oh my gosh, and then all of a sudden,
That's so funny story. We were in Florida, and Kevin Sweet, the VP at Cosmopolitan, he and I were in the high limit room, and we put like $200 or $300 in, and Brian just walked up. He's like, what are you guys doing? I was like, do you want in? He's like, I don't know. I was like, you better get in now because we're starting. So he puts $100 in. I accidentally hit max bet, which is a $96 bet on Valhalla. And if you're paying attention, we only put about $400 in the machine. So that's 1/4 of our total, money in, and boom, scatter. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And then it just kept winning.
Yeah.
And I remember they were calling us to go jump on the bus, and we're like, hold on, we want a jackpot.
We're trying to get,
and then they're like, what?
Yeah.
We were supposed to be in on it. It was awesome. The best part was getting on the bus.
Everybody booing us.
Yeah, people are booing us. And then Kevin divvying out the money to you and I, and Cash just counting it out. That was pretty funny.
I can only imagine Burke. Yeah. Burke's always the one that was in on it after the fact. Like,
I think it was Robert Perry, though.
Oh, they're both. Yeah, both of those guys are famous. I mean,
he was going to jump in on it, but he had to be pulled back for pictures or something, and wasn't able to get in on it. But the other story that I can think of is the one we were just talking about, Landon. I guess me videotaping you getting paid. That was the funniest thing, because you and Tobin were going at it on those every games trying to hit the jackpot, and you hit both of them.
Yeah.
And it was funny because the next morning we had the golf tournament, and I'm sitting there at the golf tournament, like, where's Landon? And he rolls up. He is blue, like blue. And
rough night.
He tells me the reason he's late is he just went to the bank, puked on the floor, and then deposited 20,000 in cash.
I had better days. Actually, that was a pretty good day.
Who is this? Crazy. Yeah, it's like you're some weed guy from NorCal just rolling in.
Getting out of my rental Ford Focus. Like,
you can't piece any of it together. You're dressed like a golfer. You're in some old lady car. You got stacks of cash, but you're yakking in the bushes. No one's ever. They're still telling that story, by the way. People at the bank that day are like,
I'm sure.
You'll never believe what I saw at the Wells Fargo that day. Oh man.
But yeah, that was priceless, especially him looking so blue and telling the story.
Well, I'm glad my misery and failure is your best experience.
The big key though, how'd you golf?
terrible?
Me? Horribly.
No, it's all right. I was mostly asking. Like, you were coming in. I figured you'd be normal for yourself, right? But Landon comes in blue.
I think I had one of my best shots with you guys where I ripped that thing.
I've never seen it. I've never seen a shot like that. It was like, listen, the result made it the best golf shot probably I've ever seen that didn't go in the hole. Off the tee, par 4, around a right-hand turn onto the green with your driver. Never seen it. Not even out of you. I mean, I'm not saying I've seen it. And then pretty sure one of us made the putt. So I think that was the good news. I don't know who. It definitely wasn't me. So
that was the start off the day.
Yeah. Went downhill from there. It was like, well, we started on the top of the mountain and just tumbled down as we went. But no, Landon's one of those guys that would show up on a regular day, sleeping in, big, nice, healthy breakfast, show up in golf and go, I didn't really golf so well. But then he rolls in, blue, yakking in the bushes at the bank, and he goes 10 under. And it's like, how did you do? Like, I don't understand it. So that's why I was curious, because he always pulls out the Superman when you never expect it.
Yeah.
But hey, so the other question we asked to the Max Bet Challenge. So you've heard, you've seen kind of our roster of guests, and we'd be interested. Who would you like us to try to reach out to for a future episode?
So trying to think through the people I know that would bring some value. I know you guys have some ambitions of getting more operators on here. I think a good person to talk to would be Cheered Brink, who is the newly appointed general manager over at Pechanga. So great guy, been in the business for quite some time. I think his perspective on the business, coming up through the financial side would be interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say he was a CFO forever, so I'm going to have to go back to school for a minute before we bring him on. Like, all right, I got to make sure I have my glossary, because if he goes smart guy on us, we're lost.
I got you. I've got you covered.
Definitely go smart guy.
I've got you covered there, Mike.
Perfect.
Don't worry.
You've been reading. Nice.
Yeah.
He stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Is that what we're looking at?
Yes.
I'm ready. Landon's thing, he's going to say, and the GAP principles.
Income statement, right?
Oh, there you go.
Boom.
There we go.
Balance sheet. Just
Balance
start
sheet.
with that. Start with that.
I think it'd be interesting to hear what he has to bring. So
agree. Yeah, no, he's a legend. So that's perfect. Give him a shout. Well, Brian, thanks, brother. We appreciate you making the time. This has been fun. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, definitely fun.
Hopefully we
appreciate you guys.
This. Thanks for calling me out. I love you.
What?
I've heard you call me out a couple times, Landon. So got to give it back every once in a while.
I would never do that.
That's it. What are you going to do?